Shakti, or these shadow Shakti of Bhagavan in the form of Maya. Right? And what are Maya's features? Avidya, Asmita, Rag, Dvesh, Abhinavya. These 5 things, right? They execute influence on the jiva. Right? That's why, if the jiva, just think about, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if the jiva made a choice, why would it be necessary for Maya to grab the jiva and cover him? If I'm going to go with you voluntarily, why are you kidnapping me? Do you understand this idea? Just think about it carefully. Because it says clearly, Maya then performs 2 functions to the jiva. Prashekatmaka, which means to grab or throw. Sometimes it said vikshepatmaka, which means to confuse or bedazzle. And then avranatmaka means to cover. Why would Maya have to do that if I'm voluntarily walking into my having made that choice?
Does she have to do that?
Huh? She does. She does.
If she's covering, if she's grabbing, you can make a choice and then she grabs.
No, but then there's no need, because if you're making a choice and you have the power of this choice, you could just walk in.
It's a conscious choice.
There would be no need for Sastra to mention these 2 functions of the external energy, because it would be unneeded, because jivas are voluntarily turning away and walking into Maya.
Then again, like she said, it makes it sound like we have no choice.
We're getting there. We're coming. This is what's going to be deep about this whole thing. Right? So now we talked about the condition of the jiva, prabhav, influence of the external or the material side of energy, determining what side they go to, right? Now, this conditioning that takes place with the jiva fits with the very first thing we mentioned. It is anadi.
Without no beginning.
Without beginning. Here's the verses, right? Krishna Buli Seji Anadi Bahir Mukh. The word is used here, Anadi Bahir Mukh. It means, literally, there is no beginning. There is no beginning. I'm going to get to why the acharyas say even before. I'm going to get to all of that. Right? More proof is there in Bhagavad Gita. Right? Icha Dvesha, but also Prakriti Purusham Chaiva Vidi Anadi Ubovapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidi Prakriti Sambhavam. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations are also beginningless. You understand? In other words, from time without calculation, they have been together. So now this is what is puzzling, because when you read this in Darbas, Jiva Goswami is saying the karma, everything is anadi. There is no beginning to this. It's been like this without beginning.
It's imposed on the living entity.
But this imposition, because remember, we're in time and space, so everything we think about has to be dated. Because where we are, we think of everything in terms of time. It's part of our existence. But from the absolute perspective, it is said that in the spiritual world, time is what? By its what? Absence. So from the point of view of Bhagavan, this idea of something had to have happened when is not a calculation. You understand? That's why it makes it very difficult to understand the term anadi to mean the jiva has always been like this. Here's the good news. Anadi means what? What do we say anadi means?
No beginning.
No beginning. But what's the good part about it? It has an end.
Good ending?
We're getting there. See, that's our nature in the material world. You know, just spoil. Let's be a spoiler. Tell the end of the movie. Let's get this over with. All right? But here, it has an end. So it means, why does it have to have an end? Because Mahaprabhu's already described that the constitutional nature is also, must be simultaneously existing. This is where we get to the inherency thing. Must be simultaneously existing. Why? Because the word nitya means it has no beginning and no end. So if this condition also had no beginning, what happened to my eternal das nature? Where is it? What has all of the acharyas said?
Always with you.
It's been door men. It has been covered. All the different words the acharyas are using to express that this nature is not gone. Because if it was gone, it would not be nitya. Because nitya means no beginning and no end. So it must be existing somewhere in relation to the jiva. But Prabhav, its influence is not being felt by the jiva. What influence is being felt by the jiva?
Maya.
The material energy.
Maya.
Exactly, mind.
Is the prarabdha karma, that is always with you, the prarabdha is always taking you.
Karma, period, is with the jiva anadi. And then it manifests as parabdha, kut, bij, etc. Parabdha, aparabdha, kut, and bij. Right?
Jiva Goswami says karma is always sticky, has always been stuck on the jiva. Another.
Right? So now here's what's difficult to digest. If the jiva has been in the condition, because Mahaprabhu described it, he's subject to a condition, and he's been that way anadi, where does choice come in? Where does any of this discussion about choice or anything come in? Here's what's really difficult to digest. There's really technically no choice. There is no choice. Now, oh my gosh, Mukunda, what are you saying? All the acharyas said, we made a bad mistake, we did this, we turned away, even the verse in Krishna say, Bhuliji, we turned our face, right? These are expressions to describe the condition. They're not historical things that happen. We weren't sitting in a place called Tatashta in the lounge waiting for our turn. We came up, said, which way you want to go, right? We start looking around. This says that way, and this way, and the spiritual world was too far to see. You know, I can't really see what's going on there. It looks like there's more happening here, so I'm going to go here. It wasn't like that, right? Bahir literally means the state of a condition. That station is called Bahir Mukata. It means having looked externally towards the external energy, but not physically. It's a state of existence. That state of existence of being Bahir Mukata is anadi. It had no beginning. It was always like that for you.
Explain Bahir Mukha.
Bahir means external, outside. Mukha means face. So it means that one has turned his face. They're using figurative language to describe a condition where the jivas is under, that's why I had to write this word prabhav. Literally what he's saying is that the prabhav of the external energy has executed itself on the jiva and made him appear to turn away from Bhagavan. Right?
And we had nothing to do with it.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
You know, Bhakti Sura Maharaj, when he's here quoting Jiva Goswami, I believe from the Sandarkas, was saying that it's extremely rare. Although, you know, we say like the edge of a razor, you know, Indian razor. But he, in quoting that, saying that it's extremely rare that to touch the jiva can look toward the spiritual world, because innately they don't have
that I've never seen, but the thing is I haven't seen the verse.
Okay.
So he may be.
When he comes, when I'm getting the punch, when he comes again in May, I want to try to fluff this out, because to me it makes it makes more logical, and from what I've read, it seems to be more like that. Even though Srila Gurudev says like the edge of a razor.
That I've seen from Bhakti.
So
I'll repeat it, Bhumi. Vedanta Sutra Prabhu was saying that Pujapad Srila Shuddha Maharaj had mentioned when he came, Srila Sharup Shuddha Maharaj, that it is very rare for someone from Tatashta to go directly back to the spiritual world. So I was mentioning to him that it could very well be, I have not seen the verse to that effect. So it could be coming from, there's a conception about the whole thing, so that could be tied to that. But I have not actually seen a verse or any commentary stating rarity. And Gurudev has never mentioned, or Srila Prabhupada never mentioned a rarity in that regard. They just said it's like a knife's edge and that many jivas are falling.
I was saying, maybe that Gurudev didn't really talk. He didn't talk about it much. He didn't want to dwell on it.
Right. But yeah, maybe a verse.
So much because he knows so much Sanskrit, he knows these scriptures. And when he comes, we can
ask if there's any verse like that. Yeah, we can. That'll be good because it'll give us more information. Now, hold on 1 second. So now, the jiva actually has no choice. So why are all the acharyas mentioning a choice? Why are they saying the jiva utilize free will, etc., to turn away? Because even though this is the manifest reality, the bhav inherent in making the soul acknowledge its relationship with Krishna has to be introduced. You understand? It has to be introduced. The introduction of that mood is the repentance of the jiva for being in this condition. You understand? Tell me or not.
No.
Yes.
Okay. If the jiva has no sense of repentance for being in the material world, the process of genuinely doing saranagati or surrendering to Bhagavan will not take place. If you arrest somebody for a crime they did not commit, can they ever in their heart acknowledge the crime? They may admit it for convenience sake even. Okay, look, I just don't want to have the electric chair, I'll take life in prison. They may admit it. But in their heart of hearts, if they didn't do it, they didn't do it. You understand? Now, if the jiva in the material world says, it was never my fault. I didn't do this. You know, it was Krishna's what? Shristi Lila.
Exactly.
His own pastime that this whole thing took place. I have no fault in this whatsoever. Can he ever genuinely have a feeling of, oh my Lord,
Never.
I'm sorry that I'm away from you. This was my fault. I'm going to surrender to Guru, etc. He can never genuinely feel like that.
Right, but in order to do that, he has to actually willfully turn away.
He doesn't. Here's the thing.
Otherwise, like you're saying, how can you be sorry for a crime you didn't commit?
Because
if he doesn't willfully turn away, how can he?
Because what he hasn't got yet is the influence of Swarup Shakti. When the influence of Swarup Shakti becomes implanted on the jiva, the prabhava of Swarup Shakti, he will think, what is the last verse of Shishastakam?
Yeah.
Even if you handle me roughly, I don't care. You're still my worshipful Lord unconditionally. In our condition, we want justice. You understand? In the condition, we want justice. It's not fair that I came here and suffered if I didn't do anything.
Justice is an illusion.
Exactly.
Whatever Krishna desires, that's actually.
That's the point.
That's justice. What does justice even mean?
But we experience it in the condition. You understand what's happening now?
Uh-huh.
No.
But genuinely, I'm explaining now. Pure bhakti is anya abhilasi tosunya, having no other desire except anukulyena Krishna anusil, that Krishna should be happy, right? If Krishna said, I want you to go to material world, suffer for so many thousands of births, everything else, would it be okay? Huh?
If it makes you happy, my Lord.
Okay, so where's the question of there needing to be a fault of anything? If this was Bhagavan's pastime, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur in 16th chapter Javadharma says, this is the Shristi Lila of Bhagavan. That some jivas come here and he comes and saves them. You understand? So the acharyas are saying, so you can do your part, I want to instill in you the feeling of repentance. You'll do saranagati and you'll say, oh my Lord, it was my fault. Krishna say, no, it was my fault. I didn't mean to do it. No, my Lord, it was my fault. This is called priti or love.
I'm remembering Bhakti Vinod, and I'm sorry I can't give a site.
Hold on.
Where Bhakti Vinod says that the jiva,
Tarun, hold on.
our let's say, karma. It has no beginning. Why? Because we made that decision to enter this material world on the other side of Tatastha. Therefore, it was before time.
But the thing would be, where did you make that decision?
On the other side of Tatastha.
But there is no other side because Mahaprabhu just said here, this is your nature. You are Tatashta. There's not another side to it.
Viraja. Huh?
But then
Demarcation.
the Tatashta is manifest in the Viraj. It's not manifest in the spiritual realm. Because if it's manifest in the spiritual realm, it is under the influence of Antaranga Shakti. If it's under the influence of Antaranga Shakti, can Maya cover it or capture it? Not possible. Not possible. Because that would say that the influence of Maya is greater than the influence of the internal energy of Bhagavan. You understand? So the external energy cannot capture it. Or nor can it even exercise influence on the jiva. This is what Vyasadeva saw in his trance. That's why he said, when he saw Maya, where was Maya standing? Behind. Because she was afraid. She's ashamed. I can't even come in front of Bhagavan. So if the jivas are in the spiritual realm, they're associating with Bhagavan, would Maya dare come, be so bold? She can't even, stand in front of Bhagavan. But you'll come right in Krishna's pastimes, you're playing, cowherd boys are eating, excuse me, you and you come with me. Never.
No, not that.
Yeah.
But not from Leela. But the jiva, my understanding, is coming from Brahman. And so not from Leela, where we give up Krishna Leela. We come from Brahman. We come to the Tatastha region, and there we make the decision that we're going, we choose Maya instead of choosing Krishna.
But this would indicate we had knowledge of Krishna to make a choice.
Well, we don't have knowledge practically of either one. We see this side or that side.
But the influence of one or the other can get us. So it means that the jiva's situation has to be with, because if you consciously could make the choice, right? Can we, in the material world even, one of the things that plagues the jiva is called ahamkara. Literally the word ahamkara means aham, I, kara, and the karan, cause, and the doer of activity. That same thing is now plaguing us even in Tatastha. I chose it. I did it. The real idea is, if this was Krishna's desire, so be it. See, but the jiva is hard for him to accommodate it, nor does it nourish Ras. You understand? It doesn't nourish Ras because there's no sentiment in the jiva of having been adverse, and now Bhagavan has come to save me. That feeling will not be engendered unless the acharyas preach that we actually made a bad choice, came here, we have a fault, and we're rectifying it.
So the real choice that we made is actually when we came to this material world, turning away from the Bhagavan. So here the choice is actually in the material world. We came and now we can
influence.
Because can you Lord, or we can look at the Lord.
Yes.
So it's much more difficult here.
Now
we have our
okay.
The real
He's got a mic. He's got a mic, Boomy. I don't know.
The real choice is that when we come to this material world, we have the choice to look towards Bhagavan, Krishna, and do service that, look, I'm your Nitya Das. Or we can look away and say, no, now it is me. I'm the controller, I'm the master of everything I survey. Then you look the other way. Then this is where the choice comes in. The choice is not from the Tatastha or from the spiritual world. The choice is when we come to this material world.
Yes. Did you hear that?
May repeat it to them.
All right, I'll repeat it. Maharaj was saying, the actual functional choice of the jiva manifests when he's in the material world. Because at every minute, do you have the choice to become Krishna conscious or not?
Yeah.
Because once you're in the material world, that choice is available to the jiva in the human form of life. Anyway, right?
Not every species.
Not every species, that's what we're saying, human form of life. But the choice is there in the material world, right? That one can now turn towards Krishna. So this is the platform of choice. In the Tatastha, there will be no real purport or meaning to Bhaktivinoda saying, this is the Srishti Leela of Bhagavan, if the jiva can rebel against it, or demand justice for it, or form a union in the Tatastha and say, we don't want to go, we have issues with this, it seems to be unfair. We've actually seen some people, there's some racial issues going on. We've seen some people go that way and others come this way. You understand?
Why are you so racist?
Yeah. What is going on?
I'm offended.
Yeah. Or Achutananda Prabhu said, people may get offended, So the thing is, and also if it's anadi, there's not a timetable. So even the idea of a choice requires a time for consideration. But if it's anadi, it has no time. It exists anadi. That's the concept that's difficult to grasp because we want to impose time. Time to think about it. Time to make a choice. Time that we came there. And we want to make arrangements. Okay, hold on. Tyrone, you're going to have to hold on. We'll get back. Yeah. So we want to impose a time, and not only a time, but a structure in time. Where's the mic? You give to Sean?
So we know.
Hold on, Sean. Sean speaking.
Even here in this world, how can we consider that choice is there? Like I said, when we consider his leader is influencing us here.
Mm-hmm.
And Gurudev explains very clearly that the jiva being of the chit shakti, although he may be anuchit, that the jet shakti cannot control the jiva.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only by the influence of Krishna's agatana patiyashi shakti do we stay in this condition that we can be covered. Because Krishna wants to perform that lila, so because the jiva by nature he's superior to the Maya energy. So how is it possible to explain agatana patiyashi shakti? This shakti that makes the impossible possible. Otherwise the jiva could not be covered at all.
Okay. But here's the point on that. The jiva's arrangement that some jivas can come here at all, being superior in quality by nature, is what's gatana agatana patyasi shakti. Not being here. Being here, choice actually evolves. That's why they try as a preaching choice here. Because actually there is a choice in the jiva now. Right? Every day the Harinam party goes out, people have a choice to take a book or not. Yeah. People have a choice, can you come to the Sunday program or not? People have a choice, because Bhagavan now is presenting a choice. Here's the material world, and here's a devotee, a sadhu. Oh, please, come and take the Krishna consciousness. So now choice is actually present. So why they're preaching choice is because for the jiva's practical experience within the external energy, there is choice. What we're trying to do is impose that idea. Hold on. What we're trying to do is impose that idea in the very origin to create a system of justice. You understand? We're trying to impose that idea that the choice was made there so that everything could seem just and balanced instead of accepting, oh, this was Krishna's Srishti Lila, what you adequately and rightly pointed out. Dinesh Prabhu?
He said we make choice when we got here. How did we get here then?
This is what he's saying is Gatana Agatana Patyasi Shakti. This means the inconceivable potency of Bhagavan that could make a superior quality instrument under the influence of the external or inferior energy. You understand? Now wait, here's a point. For one, does the jiva actually become part of the material world? No. It's explained. Avritta swasarup jnananam. Explain in Vedanta. What is covered is only your knowledge of yourself. You've never become part of the material. That's why all those second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the soul's not changeable, he's not withered by wind, not touched by fire. This is all to prove that the nature of the soul cannot be changed to become material. So what is influencing the jiva? In front of the jiva, his consciousness can become what's called vyat. Vyat means it can expand and become part of whatever it's influenced by. So your consciousness becomes this body because it has the tendency called vyat. So now consciousness seats in one area, spreads itself throughout the body, and I think even down to my fingertip. Hey, why'd you touch my finger? You understand? Because now the soul is vyat, the consciousness rather is vyat throughout the entire body. Now, I'm coming to you. So now, that consciousness, there's a thin sheet of it called the chitta. You've heard this word chitta. Mm-hmm. That chitta is like the flat screen TV of life. You understand? On that flat screen, the images of Maya are playing. But unless you go in the movie, you're not going to see it. Therefore, Maya grabs you and covers you. What she covers you with is your ticket into the movie, for one. Then she gives you 5 features. Avidya. What is the avidya? I forget, that I cannot understand myself. I have the capacity, but by the influence, prabhav, of the external energy, I cannot comprehend myself to be Nitya Das of Krishna. Then she says, let's strengthen that, because just the factor of the ignorance alone won't do. Avidya, asmita. Asmita means a conception of being something else. Because just not to be the Das of Krishna wouldn't be enough. Right? Because there is no such thing as actual Brahmavada and personalism. Right? I'll get to that if we need to. So asmita means I am something else. A conviction that I am something else. So then what do you need? Asmita, in being something else, now my mind says rag and dvesh. Some things are good for who I want to be. Some things are not good for who I want to be. Right? So for my case, right? Now I'm a little old. I was a gym rat back in the day, right? But now I want to be Mr. America, Mr. Universe. But looking in mirrors would be adverse to that. You understand? So the mind will say avoid mirrors and just keep it in your idea that you look like this. You understand? This is called rag and dvesh. You understand? It accepts what is favorable for asmita, for the absorption in the bodily conception, and rejects things which are unfavorable. And then the final thing is called abhinivesh, and power to be absorbed, to really believe this is my family, this is my body, this is my name. That is called abhinivesh. The external energy gives these 5 functions of herself as part of her prabhav on the jiva. That way he's convinced to stay here. So therefore, even when the sadhu comes, Hare Krishna, passes by, and you're walking, especially if you really look like Mr. Universe and your girlfriend's Mrs. America, whatever. Now it could be either way either. So that's another thing too. So anyways, now the devotee comes along and says, oh, excuse me, sir, take this book. You have the choice right there. That's Martha, you have that choice. But the power of the influence, not interested. You understand? Now, if there has been any kind of sukriti, any kind of contact with bhakti at all, because bhakti is nitya, it has no beginning and no end. If you ever contacted bhakti at all, nihabri kamana shosti pratyavayona vijite sa alpam apiyasha dhammasha trayate matovya. It is permanent. That means if you touched a book, saw a devotee, said something favorable, I don't care what lifetime it was, it is nitya, it stays there. It can never be taken away. That's what starts to influence, because the internal potency is stronger than the external potency. Gradually, those impressions from those things build up, and now the jiva starts to question, what is this material world? So then when the sadhu passes by, he says, let me get one of the books. He reads the book. Then he comes to a Sunday program, or she comes to a Sunday program. Like this, gradually, influence of the internal energy starts to execute its what? Prabhav on the jiva. This begins to awaken the jiva to his constitution, which is nitya. It's already there, but now it's being stimulated. And gradually, he meets Guru. At the time he meets Guru, Brahmanda Brahmya Komanti Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Beach. Then the Guru gives him Krishna Seva Vasanam, the inspiration again to serve Krishna. From that time, because the Guru himself is a manifestation of Swarup Shakti. He's the full embodiment of Swarup Shakti. Right? His influence through his speaking, serving him, everything, now brings out that nature which has been hidden or dormant in you, has not been able to execute its prabhav. Just like in every piece of wood in here, there's fire. But unless you light a fire to it, the fire in it won't come out. You have to do something to ignite it. In the same way, when he comes in contact with the Swarup Shakti in the form of Guru, that time, that nature in him is now ignited, and it starts to execute its influence on the jiva. Then, by the practice of bhakti, gradually, the influence becomes full, and in the stage of bhav, Sudha Sattva Visheshatma, Prem Sriyamsa Sambhavya. Actually, from the heart of Guru and the eternal searches of Bhagavan, a ray of the actual full nature of Swarup Shakti but manifests in the jiva. At that time, clarity about who he is, in terms of being Nityadas, everything becomes manifest. This is the sequence.
Prabhupada's example is the original nature, constitution of electricity is hot. But you can pass it through a wire, put it in a refrigerator, an electric refrigerator. The effect is cold. There's freon and there's gas and chemicals and metal pot, and the effect is cold.
Certain circumstances,
It's
like
completely
icebox,
against
or from warming, and it'll become cold. So he's giving an example like that, but when it goes back to its original nature, it's hot.
Could you also talk about the Jiva not being empowered by the Chit Shakti?
Okay.
Yeah, getting back to that question that arose before. You know, if you're talking about choice, what makes that particular jiva or in a place where that sadhu is passing by, per se? You know, kirtan's going on or harinam sankirtan's going on. So, if there's still not some influence, what is it that makes that person, available to the, to the eternal associate of Bhagavan at that time? If Krishna's not controlling this, I mean, how is it? Is it just by chance?
No. What's happening is that the jiva has some minute independence. That minute independence is being exercised here and in the spiritual world. When it's involved with either the external energy or the actual internal energy, the nature free will of the jiva now becomes fully blown. Not fully blown meaning it's like Krishna's, but it means the potential of it can be exercised. So here in this world, the jiva's combination of exercising his minute independence and the Kripa Shakti of Bhagavan. Because remember, this Shristi Leela is for Bhagavan to show his Karun Shakti. So in showing his Karun Shakti, he has his sadhus and all kinds of facilities for people to get Adapta Sukriti. So now, the combination of these two things, Bhagavan's mercy, that jiva's, particular samskars from life to life, whatever, right? They may come in contact, Agat Sukriti at some point. That's why the verse is perfect. Brahmanda, Brahmati, Konya Bhagavan Jiv. If it's a situation where it's being guided, there'd be no need to call that jiva really Konya Bhagavan, because because it's all being arranged. But it says he's wandering. Right? He's wandering everywhere. Now, Krishna does say, Yantarudani Maya. I'm conducting the wanderings. Yeah. But this is not like robotic. This is in combination with the free will of the jiva. Right? Because the super soul is sitting there as Unmata and Upadrista, means the witness and the sanctioner. So whatever you desire, the super soul says, yeah, I see you, fella. And then he grants that thing according to your desire.
But then there's that verse that says that when one's time for termination in this world is over. So it seems like Krishna must be influencing somehow, because, okay, this person has been in one, then one comes in contact with sadhu. So it seems like Krishna is orchestrating, because this verse states that, I don't know the Sanskrit verse, but it states that when one's termination in this world is to come to an end.
It says, Can you? Go ahead. I'll repeat.
Yeah, it's explaining that when it's time for one to be delivered, basically, when his termination in this world is to come to an end at that time, because we're here since time immemorial, time without beginning, so many lifetimes. But if there's some influence as to, as that verse states, when it comes time, so someone's like, okay, well, Krishna's saying it's time, so let me send my representatives to be in that place where this person is passing by.
The verse, I know the verse you're talking about now. That verse is saying it should be seen as a symptom that his time is done when he comes in contact with a sadhu. That's a sign that your time is up. You understand? Because now meeting a sadhu, because remember, this has no beginning, but it has a end. So when you meet the sadhu, and because the effects of a sadhu are not reversible, because they're nitya, they will not be able to be reversed, right? So now, once you see that, Bhagavatam is saying, it should be understood to be a sign that jiva's sojourn in the material world has come to an end. You understand? He's not saying that Krishna was guiding and didn't arrange this time.
Not by chance.
Not by chance.
An example.
Use the mic, Maharaj.
But it's in the end for you, because it means that you are not going to enjoy anymore if you
Exactly.
It's not that
it's the end of this condition. I'm going to explain.
An example is when that young man, I don't forget the name, who with the girlfriend left him, and then he was crying, went to the forest, went into not knowing where he was going, and not knowing he was in Nishunga.
Prahlad.
Prahlad. No,
in former life, he was the son of son of Vasushama.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Before that.
Right.
And the wife also came. They didn't know, they were crying. They didn't actually
Right.
do it consciously.
Right. This is a gatto secreto.
Yes. So they got that, and
Right.
in their next life, they got the chance.
Right.
So this is what I want to say is, if the soul, by any chance of even performing punya and so forth, you are having some piety, some goodness, and you happen to chance by a sadhu,
Right.
and you do a little service, or
Right.
even here,
Right.
or do a little bit of thing, you actually, that's the beginning.
Right. Or even good karma, doing good works in the world will gradually lead
That's what I'm
to
saying.
the possibility of coming in contact with spiritual things. Yeah, exactly.
Goodness.
So these are all called samskars. But Shama has one point, there's something called a gata samskar, which is the original impression put there by Bhagavan. So there is like a little guiding, like a magnet. The magnet is kind of going like this. But now, like you give a baby a magnet, right? Magnet goes on metal, but the baby will start putting it here, putting it there, putting it there. Now eventually, one time it may pass something and it'll go click. Oh, wow. Wow, you understand? Now But formerly, she was just independently wandering the magnet around. And so like that. But inherent in that magnet is the power when it does come in contact, it's going to click. So it's kind of like that. Now, if I don't finish this, we won't get the full picture. So, the condition of the jiva is anadi, has no beginning, but it does have an end. Once the jiva comes in contact with bhakti, that starts the ending of their anadi condition. Their liberation from that condition is ananta, which means it will never be repeated. You understand? That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those who come to my abode never return. Because it is ananta. There's no ending to it. So the liberation from the condition has no end. It is called ananta. Understand? Now, anitya is everything that happens in between the anadi condition of the jiva and is coming to the point of liberation. Everything else is anitya. It'll have a beginning and an end. I was in this life for so many years and then it was finished. I had this body for so long, it had a beginning and has an end. You understand? So this anitya features will be going on until they come to the beginning of their path of liberation. Then everything that they do will be permanent. And once they are liberated, it is ananta. It is no more chance to go back to the conditional state. There's no possibility of going back. That is called ananta. Right? Now, let's go back to nitya. Nitya means when he's become liberated, the swarup that Mahaprabhu talked about here of his being Krishna Das becomes manifest. And it's because that nitya Das swarup becomes manifest, his liberation is ananta. It cannot be reversed. Because once the swarup, the true swarup of the jiva is manifest, it is endowed with Swarup Shakti. It can never again be overcome by the prabhav of the external energy. Does that make sense? Yes. If not, say, and I'll repeat it. Okay, I'm repeating it. The jiva, he was under the influence, prabhav of the external energy. He begins the practice of bhakti. Gradually, the influence of Swarup Shakti in minute degrees, which are permanent, irreversible effects, start to take place. Gradually, he practices more and more, she practices more and more. When it becomes very thick, we're going through the stages of bhakti, like ruchi, etc. You start to see a natural detachment from the external world. Why? What is creating the detachment from the material world? The prabhav of Swarup Shakti. The prabhav of the internal energy is causing detachment. That's why the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Raso Vrajam, Raso Piyasha, Param Drishta Nivartate. When that influence comes, he immediately starts to feel some detachment from the material world, and she starts to feel detachment from the material world. When that influence becomes concentrated and fully manifest in the heart, it's like cutting on a light. It simultaneously allows you to see Thakurji or Bhagavan and yourself. Once that light has been cut on and you've seen yourself, right? Let's say you never saw what you look like, right? Then you come into a place, you turn the light on, you see Thakurji on the altar, and you see yourself, and then I turn the light back out. Can you forget what you just saw? You understand the point? I'm relatively speaking. Can you forget? No, now you've seen what your hand looks like. So if I want to be Mr. America, I cut the light and look in the mirror, that's a wrap. That's not going to be, that's not going to necessarily be this lifetime anyway. Right? So you hold on one second, Prabhu. You cannot go back now and reverse that idea, right? Actually speaking, right? That's what happens when now Suda Sattva enters the heart, it becomes illuminated, the actual Jiva, who he is, as Nitya Das, which was there all along, but was not executing its prabhav on the Jiva. That's why they're saying it's dormant.
And sometimes what you see is not so good too.
In the external world. When the spiritual world, when you see it, it's like, whoa, most beautiful thing.
No, but when you start seeing your
in the transition process.
the trash, yeah.
Yeah, then you can start seeing the bad things in yourself. Once you start becoming more spiritual, you see in the material sense your bad habits and qualities, right? So, but now you see this is now Nitya. You understand? It has no beginning. You realize, I never was not the Das of Krishna. That's why when you get to the spiritual world, hold on one second, when you get to the spiritual world, nobody will give you a name tag saying, oh, welcome, stop over, pick up your tag, make sure you put on Sadhana Siddha. Nobody does that. Why? Because practically speaking, Nitya in there is Nitya. There are no designations. You understand? Practically speaking. So now we understand clearly by that template, what is Anadi? Right now, this is the most difficult thing for the souls to digest. Because we want justice, we cannot fathom that due to the Srishti Leela of Bhagavan, we came here. Only when the devotee becomes Saranagit and he accepts whatever Krishna wants, at that time his heart melts and he thinks, oh, that's why I was talking about humility. I said humility only comes really with realization. Because when you become realized, that's when Bhaktivinoda Thakur will write, Amara Jivan Sadapaperata Naiko Punyalesh. Now he's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is also Kamla Manjari. Why are you writing Amara Jivan? Because he's thinking in the mood of I was at fault. It was my fault I came to the material world. That's a transcendental emotion related to his eternal love of God. In the material world, when we do that, we're looking for justice. You understand? We're looking for justice. Other than that, we would be able to accept, Krishna, whatever you want to do with me, you're free to do. Is that true or not?
It's true.
Even if you don't like it, it's true.
It's true.
But if you want to have a loving relationship, would you also, because we always talk, and that's the whole thing in the material world, unconditional love. Well, here's the opportunity. I put you in the material world because I want to enjoy the pastime of coming in many incarnations and watching you unfold. Is that okay with you? Well, actually, we could discuss it. I don't want to discuss it now because, I might run into issues, later on where you might not want to let me in. So for right now, I'm agreeing with it. No. If Krishna gave you darshan, said, look, I put you through this whole circumstance. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, oh, you'll complain. But what about Prahalad? Prahalad's a Nitya Siddha. But you'll complain. Jai and Vijay. They had to leave their situation, come here so Bhagavan could enjoy fighting and become like demons. They left Vaikuntha to come here to please Bhagavan. Oh, but you're complaining, even though you've been here since time, Anandikal, you're complaining about even questioning why you had to come here. So you getting the picture? That question that we raise is born itself from our conditioning. It's not coming from the soul. Because the soul would think whatever my Lord wanted would be fine. That's love.
Very high stage.
Very high stage, but that's love. You understand? Now, practically speaking, you cannot simply impose that in our condition. Oh, I'm in Maya, but Krishna wanted me to be in Maya. So I'm just happily being in Maya because I'm fulfilling your desire. You understand? That's why I'm going to the party next week and we'll be smoking, drinking, everything. Krishna, are you happy? So this is, you understand what I'm saying? Because this is, the jiva has amazing powers. So the jiva can also take that and begin to twist it. For this reason also, the acharyas do not preach like that. They preach you have a fault. Because if they don't, right, like Vyasadeva, What did Narada Muni, which we'll get to our second part now, we're going to the second part of what I want to talk about. What was Narada Muni explaining to Vyasa was one of the faults in his original compilation of all the different sastras?
You didn't explain the sweet pastimes.
Not only that, but you gave a license that people will now be able to enjoy, and they'll follow the prescriptions for prayashchitta or atonement, but they won't care about actually making spiritual advancement. So he chastised, this is a danger. You understand? So in the same way, this nature is in the jiva because by nature he has 4 defects. One of them is cheating propensity. So if Krishna was to say, actually I raised all of this as my pastime to come and save you, oh well, don't blame me then for all the times in high school I was smoking and doing all these different things. Understand? And in fact, since you put it that way, since you notice your pastime, I'll just wait my turn. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and do what I was doing. And when you get here, give me a call. Right? And I'll straighten everything up and join you. We'll all go back to God. All of that. You understand? So it's funny, but this is actually how we think. If that was to happen. So to stop that, right, the Acharya comes and he gives guidelines. You have a fault. You've actually turned your face against Krishna. Now it engenders in the jiva a sense of the need to repent and to rectify himself to be with Krishna and to purify himself to be with Krishna. You understand this mood? This is creating, it's creating love.
It's Jesus Christ mood.
Yes, it's creating love. It's creating the mood of love. If two people have an argument, right, have a vicious argument, like husband and wife, they're arguing, how easy it is for that argument to be ended if one party comes forward and says, actually, yes, you're right. I was at fault. I apologize. How much argument is there left to do? There's not so much. And depending on the mood, of course, we can't say in the material world people are perfect, so the husband or the wife may not respond like Krishna, but Krishna is perfect and he loves the jivas. So as soon as the jiva says, oh, it was my fault. I'm so fallen and wretched. That should be from genuine realization, though, not just lip service. And then Krishna becomes overwhelmed. He becomes overwhelmed. My devotee suffered so much, Krishna breaks down crying. He becomes overwhelmed that I made this jiva suffer. So forth. And so now what happens to the love? It's exalted. Now it becomes even more intense. Right? Just like sometimes an eligible devotee, like Narada Muni. Narada Muni had realized himself. So Krishna gave him a darshan. Then Krishna took the darshan away and told him what? Oh, you'll not see me anymore in this life. Now what happened to Narada Muni's devotion? It increased because it can't be reversed, because it's bhakti, it's eternal. It can't be reversed, so it just intensified. Same thing to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It can't be reversed. Krishna did it to gopis. Right? It intensifies the love. Why? Because love is described. Sarvata Dangsarahitam Yajapi Dangshakarane Yadbhava Bandhano Prema Parikirtita. That prema is of a nature that it can never be broken. This is the reason that in the spiritual world it will be impossible for any person to come out of the spiritual world and make a choice. Because the nature of the spiritual world is that people are in a relation of love. Rupa Goswami has written, that love, Sarvata Dangsarahitam, no condition can it be broken. Then he says, Yad api Dangsha Karane. But even if a cause arose, it could not be broken. So let's say Maya could even get to the spiritual world. Her power would not be enough to be the cause to break the love between the Jiva and Bhagavan. But rather, Yad Bhava Bandhano Yuno. When a cause comes to break love, the love gets stronger. You understand? Therefore, Krishna going to Mathura and eventually to Dwarka, did it make the gopis' love stronger, or did they say, okay, he's not coming back. Let's start looking for somebody else? It made it stronger. And because the love became so strong and Krishna is subjected to the control of the love, he was forced to come and appear there in their separation. You understand? He was forced to come and appear there.
And apologize.
And apologize. This isn't Gopi Gita. But even when he goes to Dwarka and Mathura, in Bhagavatam he doesn't return. In other sastras, in some Prakosha after killing Dandavaki, he returns. Now, in that sense, their separation power creates an eternal presence of Krishna. It's called Vipralamba Prakritabhav. When Krishna leaves like that, the power of their separation causes Krishna to make a permanent manifestation with which they become absorbed. In that sense, the Nitya Golokdam and Prakat Golokdam become one and the same. You understand? Because there's no more separation. The power of their separation makes Sambho that can't be broken. I'm not going to because we'll get confused. Ujjwal Lamani explain different kinds of separation. Like Vipralamba V Sporti. If Krishna just makes an appearance for a little while and disappears, their separation doubles. But Vipralamba, Prakrita Pradubhav means their separation so powerful, it makes Krishna manifest a permanent manifestation that, is there. And then it's just like Nitya Golokdam, where there's actually no mood of separation, only the thought of separation is there. You understand? Okay. So that's it on the template. What is Anadi, Anitya, Ananta, and Nitya? How it works with the Jiva. Mahaprabhu's explanation to Sanatana Goswami, describing these things, and how it all works. Right? I won't get into whether or not the Swarup is inherent. That's a whole other discussion, whole other argument. But he's saying, you can understand from this verse, if the Swarup is Nitya, where is it when the Jiva's under condition? Because Swarup Shakti can't be covered. So now where is the Swarup of the Jiva? This constitution of the Jiva, where is it?
It's with the Jiva in a dormant form.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said it. So many acharyas said it. Even Baldev Vijayabhushan, Govinda Bhasya, he has said that when the Jiva goes back to the spiritual world, it's his own original form that goes back. It's not an acquired form. You understand? So, in this way, so many acharyas, even way back, they're saying the same thing. Right? Even the verse, Kriti Sajya, Bhavet Sajya, Bhavasa, Saranavida, Nitya Siddha Shabhavasha, the Nitya Siddha Bhav, perfectly accomplished praying. Where does it manifest? Prakritam Riddhi Sajjata. It manifests in the heart, right? There's no indication here that Swarup Shakti wasn't somewhere in relation to the heart before and then made manifest. Because the word manifest means something is present and then it becomes revealed. Right? Like if you turn the lights off now, right? Everybody maybe not be able to see everybody else. When you turn it back on, we're all here and we will all be manifest now to everyone's vision. But if something is not here, you could give the argument that you turn off the lights and now you come back on and somebody brought something in, now it's manifest. That's one argument. But Baldev Vijayabhushan gives a strong argument in Govinda Bhasya in explaining Vedanta Sutra. He says no, that the word swena, there's one verse. Swena nispadjati. It means that the swena or original form of the jiva is what goes back to the spiritual world. Or goes to the spiritual, not back, but to the spiritual world. It's not a form that's acquired. He gives this argument. Anyway, I don't want to get into that because that's a whole different discussion. Alright? So, yeah, true. It's in a seed form. Now, that's another good point. This example has been used like a seed. Right? Now, so that doesn't necessarily mean because it's inconceivable. We don't know. We can't say like, well, actually what's going on is there's a little seed in my body. And, when I become perfect, that seed's going to start to germinate and blow out my head and everything is going to come out and like that. So this is where we start getting confused because we start taking the examples and the English language and start trying to construct this stuff. Right? It is an inconceivable reality that the dormant nature of the Swarup of the Jiva is present. Like fire is present in wood. And when fire is applied to it, right, then the fire in the wood comes out. You understand? If the item was not combustible, if you put a match on it, will it get in the fire? It has to have the ability to combust. So the same way, if there was nothing in the Jiva, what would come out when the spiritual master gives you Swarup Shakti by initiation and other features? What would come out of you? Nothing's there. But Mahaprabhu has affirmed, no. Jivera Swarup Hoy, the constitution of the Jiva is that he is Krishna Nityadas. He is the eternal servant of Krishna. This is in his constitution. He doesn't say here where the constitution is located. There's no reason that we have to see that the constitution is not with us. That wouldn't make sense. Okay. Any questions on that thing? Yes.
Earlier, he had a good point. Yes, a lot of people think that
I'll repeat the question.
a lot of people think that the soul comes from beyond Viraja.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard also that the soul comes from Brahmananda. So I'm just wondering what is the prabhav or the influence of Brahmananda? Is there the influence of Maya?
Not Brahmananda. Brahmananda is an attainment. It's not a beginning status. Because if you have Brahmananda, how would you go to Jadananda? You understand? Right? Because Brahmananda is the attainment of the Ananda that is situated within Brahman. Right? So that is an attainment of the Jiva's unfoldment. It is not, you fell from Brahmananda and you came into the material world, because then that would mean that the taste inherent in Brahmananda, in the Brahmajyoti, is inferior to the material world. So,
I think she meant the rays of
She meant Brahman.
the rays of Brahman.
Brahman, not Brahman.
Even that, let me just explain this to you. Come on a second. Even that idea, that we're in the Brahmajyoti, simply means that we're situated in a position between the internal realm of Vaikuntha, Golok, etc., and the external world. It does not say that we were like, descriptions are given, like a pencil ray. These are descriptive. They're not, because what is the jiva? What is he actually? God is saying himself. What he is, actually, he's not just a pencil ray of light or something, and then he comes here and then this happens. Because if that's what he is, right, then how do you acquire becoming, or how are you Nitya? Where's your Nitya Dashood? If that's what you are. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if you're a pencil ray of the light of Brahman. Now, the reason they're saying things like coming from the Brahmajyoti, etc., is to describe that the jiva is not in the spiritual realm.
So the Brahmajyoti is that under the control of material energy?
No.
Or yoga or Maha?
No.
So I
The
thought
Brahmajyoti,
it's like the Viraja.
there is the possibility in the Brahmajyoti, right? Depending on the amount of power. Because see, if we're saying we're in the Brahmajyoti, the question is, when do we get in the Brahmajyoti? Because now we're trying to describe a sequence of activity. That's why this idea of a nadi is important. Because what we're setting up is immediately, I was in the Brahmajyoti, then I came to the material world.
Well, when Arjuna asked Krishna,
Hold 1 second, because he was going to say something. Got it, Krishnananda.
Prabhupada explained this in one lecture, which was very surprising. Janma karma chimetivyam evam yoveti tattva. Jakudeka punarjanma nanti
Explain something. Prabhupada explain.
Using my birth and activities are considered transcendental. If you consider that, then you would never take birth again. And what did he lecture on? Krishna born in Mathura or Vrindavan? No, he described the three Purusha avatars. In Adi 2, second chapter of Adi Lila, actually Adi 5, which is the description of Nityananda's tattva, it describes that the Mahachankasha, that's one of the Vishnus in Vaikuntha, is the shelter of the jivas, the Banta jivas. They're not manifested. That's not liberation. They're within the body. And they're in suspended animation. He becomes Mahavishnu, and then they're manifest.
Yes.
And how they manifested? Through that beam of light from his brow,
From his eyes.
and from his eye, between his eyes, and that is Shambhu, that's the ego, comes over, and all the material energies come from before. It's a very delicate science. Just like the electricity goes through a wire before it gets into the refrigerator and turns cold.
Describing the process.
So that's not wire. It comes to very, very.
Now this is
It is
interesting.
very, Bhaktisiddhanta says, it is very similar, and the only words that can be described it is intercourse.
Right.
When Shiva is intercourse
With Parvati.
Prakriti. And those are the only words that describe
Right.
it. And it is pervertedly manifested in mammals.
Now keep in mind, this is an important point to keep in mind. This is not the origin of the jivas being conditioned.
No.
This is a description of the creation. That was the amazing. I'm reading now on Tattva Sandarbha. It's not a description of when the jiva comes to the material world. He has been conditioned from Anadi Kal. He was always conditioned. What's happening with Mahavishnu is describing that the creation goes through cycles. It's describing a cycle of creation, not the origin of the jiva. He's describing how the jiva manifests in creation, not how he became conditioned.
Yeah,
This is important.
Like today's weather report might go to partly cloud.
Activation of the conditioned jiva.
Yes.
Some other day, it will say completely clear. But those jivas that are in the shelter, given shelter by Shankarshan, they're still Buddha jivas. Just like the demons that enter into the Krishna's body. That's like liberation. And it's just, I'll keep you there for later.
Yeah.
You're going to come out.
We'll get that. Dinesh Prabhu, then Vedanta Sutra. Get that microphone.
So in the beginning of chapter 8, Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is Brahman? And Krishna's reply is, Brahman is the jiva is Brahman. In the Isopanishad, in verses 16, 17,
Yeah.
something like that,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada is also explaining the same thing.
Right.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from someplace which I can't cite, also explains the same thing.
Right.
So my understanding then is the jiva is emanating from Krishna into the Brahman, and then somehow or other gets to this material.
Right, but this is not, this is what Tritananda is just saying. This is not a description of his being conditioned. This is a description of the creation, how the creation happens.
Yeah.
It's not a description of the creation of the jiva because the jiva is eternal. His conditioning is eternal. What this is describing is that when Krishna expands from Baladev to Shankarshan to Chatavyuha, second Chatavyuha, another Mahashankarshan, three manifestation of Purusha avatars, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karnodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Then the jivas who are situated in the body, as he's saying, of Mahavishnu and appears, who's lying in the causal ocean, which is made up of the Brahma Jyoti, right? All of those jivas then emanate from his glance. From between his glance comes Shambhu, which is the feature of the covering of Ahankar. This is all a description of the creation or the placement of the jivas in material energy.
That's later.
No, that's...
That's later.
Now, the jiva, we have to see the three aspects of jivas. The jiva that comes directly from Lord Balaram, which says, and the jivas that are manifested in
Mahavishnu.
Through Mahavishnu in
The material
Vaikuntha.
world. No, in the material world. And from
Sankarshan
Shankarshan in Vaikuntha. Right.
This is the three aspects, and maybe people may be confusing the other two with the one that is manifesting from Mahavishnu.
No. What's happening is that the Upanishads and other Shastras are mentioning that the jivas are coming from the Brahma Jyoti. But it's not from the Brahma Jyoti. It's not where their conditioning happened.
That's not where they come from. That's not their origin.
Right.
They are in the Brahman.
I just wanted
No,
to
but
say
then-
that I
Brahman
concur with
is the jiva.
Brahmanoti Pratishtaham. Krishna says he's the source of that
Brahma
Brahmajyoti, which
Jyoti,
is
yes.
beyond time, immeasurable, and eternal.
Right.
So this is a class that Bhagavan Maharaj gave, and
Right.
I
I
also
remember that.
questioned the
Yes.
same, trying to.
Online, right.
But it's
I-
fairly
very
easy to
much
understand that Brahma Jyoti is unlimited spiritual jivas,
Right.
unlimited jivas,
Right.
and at a certain stage, because it's beyond time and space, it's eternal. At a certain stage, those souls enter into Mahavishnu, just like this process, and then this process comes. So he's saying,
Where did they become conditioned?
He's saying, well, that's the conditioning. It comes through Mahavishnu through the glands.
Then it has a
That's
beginning.
not-
Then it has a
Well,
beginning, right?
I'm just saying this is what his conception was. So this is what
Hold on.
that class, and I. So I'm going to research a little bit, and from my understanding, it
Do
seems
that. Look at Govinda Bhasha. Look at Govinda Bhasha
It seems
of
like-
Baladev Vijabhushan.
Well, you
Because
can
if
talk
the
about-
jiva,
Send Bhagavad Maharaj, because he's the one.
we had a discussion on before.
Okay.
If the jiva has come out of Brahma Jyoti, right? What was his status in the Brahma Jyoti?
Mukti.
No, because he's liberated. Liberation is ananta.
But that's what I want to say. I always took that to mean that those are some of the jnanis and yogis who get Brahma Jyoti realization, not having a personal development, fall down again into
That's not
material. That's the
You
way I
actually
see
have
it.
limited spiritual sparks.
Hold on one second.
But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, even if all the living entities in the material world went back to the spiritual world, still the material world would fill up. So where are they coming from?
See, here's the problem. We have to just take the Sastra, what it's saying. The condition of the jiva is anadi. It's without beginning. Everything else is describing a process of the jivas entering into the cycles of creation which keep going on and on and on and on. That's also eternal. This cycle of Mahavishnu creating, etc., etc. That the Brahma Jyoti is composed of jivas has nothing to do with where their conditioning began. That means in the Brahma Jyoti there are some jivas who elevated from the material world and became Brahman realized. They are also there, right? Because they have Brahma Sayuja. Right. Some jivas who are the conditioned jivas, already conditioned, are there, and then Mahavishnu accepting them into the body of Mahavishnu, he then makes them come into the material world. But the problem is, the original point is their conditioning is anadi. They didn't become, like they weren't neutral in the Brahma Jyoti, then they became conditioned, then they came to the material world. You understand? This is what we have to avoid. They were in the Brahma Jyoti and they were just like neutral, right? There was nothing wrong. They were just neutral. Then they made a bad choice and they became conditioned. Then they entered Mahavishnu. Then again, because that's what it will lead to. And it will go completely against what Vedanta and everything is saying. The jiva's condition is simply anadika. And when the jiva comes under the influence of Swarup Shakti, by the influence of spiritual master, sadhus, etc., then it starts the beginning of the breaking of his conditioning, and that process is ananta. It will not have an end. When he becomes completely liberated, the influence of Swarup Shakti manifests in his heart, reveals his Nitya Dashood of Krishna. You understand? This is the simple reality of these things. That's why Jiva Goswami put that template there in order to make it clear. Because other than that, people are trying to figure out, well, what happened before? And because we're in time, we're imposing a time sequence and hence a whole flow of how things happen. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote in one place, the jivas are situated in Santaras prior to coming. Right? Have you seen that before? It's actually written there. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the jiva previously is in Santaras. This doesn't mean Santaras of the spiritual world, because how can you fall from Santaras? So here he's saying Santaras, meaning the jiva's indifference is like a neutral, because you cannot be neutral towards Bhagavan. That's indifference. You understand? If you walked in the room and acted like you weren't here, right? I didn't say anything bad about you, but is it indifference? It's still indifference. So the neutral position of the jiva in Tatashta, right, as a Tatashta jiva, is naturally Bahir Mukata to Krishna, because you can't be neutral to Krishna. Jiva Goswami's explanation in Bhagavad Sandarbha is that anybody coming in proximity to Bhagavan must in fact love and want to serve him. That's the definition of Bhagavan. He gives that as one of the definitions of Bhagavan. The very nature of being in contact or close to him makes you want to love and serve him. So it means the jivas were not like in proximity to Bhagavan in that way. They're in the body of Mahavishnu, as Achyutananda Prabhu said, but that's also in relation to the continual cycle of creations, which is also eternal. They keep coming and going. Never ending. Right?
The servitude in Anadi is unconscious, and then it becomes conscious in Ananta.
No, let's not confuse those two things. So Anadi, his condition is without beginning. It comes to an end when he takes the spiritual life. When he becomes liberated, that liberation is ananta. It will never reverse itself. It will never end. The perfection of his liberated state is the realization of his original Nitya Dasa de Krishna. That is Nitya. Everything in between his being anadi and becoming influenced by spiritual life is anitya, which is just different bodies coming and going through many, many creations over and over again. Boss.
Srila Prabhupada says that every jiva that comes from the dasta into the Maya world takes the position of Brahma. Can you explain that?
Again, this was a description to try to understand how the jiva becomes acquainted with the material world. So there are two types of Brahma. One is called Hiranyagarbha and one is called Viraja Brahma. This is explained in Laghu Bhagavatamrita Rupa Goswami. One Brahma actually does the creation. The other position of Brahma are jivas who are there. They enjoy the position of being Brahma. They see how the creation is functioning. And from that position, they can fall back down into the material world. And now they're acquainted with the material universes and their functions. If that is a part of the whole creation, that's one thing. But Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami have both also written that the karma of the jiva is anadi. It's there with him from time immemorable.
Yeah.
So, how to put those together.
What I heard in India, in Vrindavan, was that when the universe is destroyed in the end of Brahma, all the jivas enter the body of Lord Vishnu, but they enter with their karma.
Yes.
So when the new creation manifests,
their karma is already there.
Their karma is already there. So Lord Brahma already has the pieces on the chessboard to work with.
It's explained in Bhagavatam, karma Daiva trainer, janto deho papaktiye. It's explained in Bhagavatam. Everybody according to their karma, and the Daiva trainer means the workings of the demigods headed by Brahma. Everything is already mapped out. Now, karma, you read all Sastra, Vedanta, Jiva Goswami's writings, everything. Karma is anadi. The karma that you have is not just what you acquired here. Your original conditioning contains karma. These are facts that we just... Bummer, isn't it? Bummer. Because if everybody starts... I was just reading the whole thing today in the Sundarbans. If everybody starts equal, which, again, that mentality of justice first comes in. Hey, wait a minute. I ain't starting as a horse. You understand? I'm not starting as a horse. I don't even like horses. You understand? You understand? But the whole creation is manifest under whose will? Krishna's will. And that's why the very first verse of Bhagavatam, he's telling Janmajasyaya ta anvayat itaratas. Anvayat means directly, itaratas means indirectly. Krishna indirectly, through his Shaktis, he's manifesting this world, abhigyasarat. And because he is fully omnipotent, he can enter as the super soul into every single thing, right? So he has some awareness of it, but it doesn't disturb him as being Rasal Vaisaha in Golok Vrindavan. And he's Swarat. He's independent. He does not need to appeal to the Supreme Court to figure out whether I'm going to have jivas appear here in all different conditions of life. I got to get permission first from the Supreme Court. He's Swarat.
The chapters say that.
Yes.
In the beginning.
He was there before the creation, after, and in the end. See, and this is what's so difficult. Now we wonder why it's very hard to surrender. Because we will not accept the fact that Krishna can do whatever he wants. He is doing. Whether you like it or not, he's doing. And then we want to get back, and then the nature of people, I'll get back at you. All right? You made me come here, I'm going to enjoy it to the max. Right? And don't you say a word, because it was you originate the whole thing. This is the mentality. You understand? So where will love come from? Where will love come from? Because we still have the idea, I'm the enjoyer. It's about me. You understand? I need justice. I need to find, and if you did this to me, that was very, I had to have operation while I was here. Understand? I struggled through many things. You know how many bad relationships I went through? You understand? Really, I mean, the mentality builds up. So we have to think. The 8th verse of Shashastakam, Mahaprabhu only gave 8 verses. In the 8th verse, he's showing what is the perfection of love. Krishna, you can do anything you want to me. The epitome of what would be painful to Radhika is to see Krishna do what? Associate with the opposite party right in front of her eyes. But in Shashastaka, Mahaprabhu reveals the inner mood of Radhika. Even if you did that, still you're my worshipful Lord unconditionally. But for me, I want justice. I don't have a problem about being here, even though life has been okay. I did all right. I didn't get killed in my career or anything. I have a little money, married a good woman. She cooks random cake today, was great. You understand? But I still got issues. You understand? I'm still not happy. Because I feel like I've just been mistreated or something. You know? So I'm just saying, just look at the mentality. But the pure devotees, right? Like, they live so without anything material. They never had any material. Like, Srila Prabhupada could have everything. He already realized everything. He saw Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami in their Manjari forms, living in Radha Damodar and Rasastali. And he came to New York to find us. Think about it. Think about that. If you had, look, I get seasick. First of all, Srimati Maraji would have offered me, well, you can go by ship. I'd say, hey, well, look, I wish you all well. You understand? You can't arrange an air ticket. Wish you well, everybody. Get blessings from afar. But then you get on the ship. It's not Disney Cruise World. It's not Royal Caribbean. You understand? You have 2 heart attacks. I'd have got off at the next port to, hey, get me a flight back. I tried this, Yeah, I'm wishing them well. And then when you got here, nobody picked you up and took you to Fifth Avenue, nice apartment, anything. Try to understand for what? What did he owe anybody? You understand? This is what should make any Prabhupada disciple's heart break. What did he owe you to come here? All drugged up, smoked up with the girlfriend and everything. What did he owe you to leave the Rasa Stali and come here? And then you question Bhagavan about injustice of why I came here. He sends his own manjaris to come and get you. Then you question, oh, why'd you send me here? Must have been something. We have to work this out. You understand? Try to understand. That's why this thing is amazing. Try to understand. It doesn't matter why we came. And even Srila Prabhupada said that. Some devotees took that to be a philosophical statement. The Tal and Crowfoot logic thing, that Prabhupada said, oh, it's not really important how you came here. Why is it not important? Because the most important thing is developing love for Krishna. If Krishna wanted you to come here, that should be sufficient enough reason. And it doesn't mean that because Krishna arranged it originally and Guru's telling you it's your fault that you're here, you should say, yes, it is. I'm so foolish, so stupid. How many sadhus came in my life and I rejected them? Even Srila Prabhupada went through all of those things. Jai Shri Satchidananda Gaurahari, Jai Shri Sri Hare Govinda Dev. Just think, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada came in our lives, right? Gave everything. And still, have we completely made up our mind? I'll be fully surrendered and just absorb myself in love of God? Even with that. So now, let me turn around and question. Oh, Haribol, nice coming.
In reflections, and Srila Gurudev's gone over his own life, he mentions and makes this a real deep point that actually it took many births. And of course, he's a Nitya Siddha, so for us he's saying, but he's stating for us, it took him, he said, not just in this life, if you read that, but many births to get to this level. So he's talking about himself in the reflections of bhakti.
Yeah.
And so it's not, we shouldn't feel bad that we can't, because he himself stating is the Acharya, it took many births. And we don't know, I mean, because it's for us, how many births it will take. And there's another YouTube video where Ishapur was arguing with him. You've given us everything. Maybe you always have seen this. And Gurudev said, you do not have the container. You do not have the container.
He says even what?
You do not
have the container.
Oh,
remember when Ishapur was arguing with him?
Yeah,
You know, that because I think he was discussing how he'd go back in time. You go to the different, Bhakti Siddhanta and Vishwanath and, our atomic sector. And then he's saying, well, actually, you've given us everything.
What do we need to go there for here?
We not have the container. So we, at the same time, we have we've been here, like you're saying, conditioned eternally. We can't expect in one life or two, or even a few lives. It might take. And when I read this, it really made an impact. And this is recently I read this, and it always said many verses, and I can understand this is for our benefit to understand that this is not an overnight process, meaning not one lifetime.
And Radha Swami was saying, and we should be, even with full effort, if it takes more than one lifetime, we should be fine with that. What is the verse in Manasiksha? Yadi che brajavasam saragam prati janur. If you want to have braj with rag, you should be prepared. Prati janur means to spend life after life after life to get this. And you should not then say, if the opportunity for Vaikuntha comes, oh yes, I'll get on a plane. I've suffered here too much. If Ramachandra comes and says, look, I know you're not into Vaikuntha. We all have two arms in Ayodhya. You could come there. We'll still say, no, thank you. Then say, no, because you only want Krishna. So Krishna will come, say, look, I'm Krishna. I'm in Dwarka, but I'm still Krishna. No. Well, we can be, look, if you come to Mathura, you can stand on the roof. You can at least see Braj. Right? Say, no, thank you. And then if Krishna from Braj will come and say, okay, you could come to Braj with me. Say, no, thank you. I'm waiting for any Manjari to come and bring me to the service of Lalita under my Guru Rupa Sakya. And we'll spend life after life to wait, doing strong, diligent bhajan to get this. But right now, still living like half comfortable life. Everything is fine. Everything, right? Just like my mother, she used to always say something, sometimes if she would, get angry and put us under punishment, you give the argument. I know this happens in the African American community. A lot of people give the argument, well, I didn't ask to come here. Maybe it happens everywhere. I didn't ask to come here. And my mother would say, but you're sure glad you're here, aren't you? Sure glad you're here, aren't you? Standing in my refrigerator, I poured milk in the hand, everything. Sure glad you're here, aren't you?
I was challenged a long time ago, and it was so weird. I was choked up. But well, if you didn't fall from Vaikuntha, then you're not taking responsibility for your own sin of rejecting Krishna. And I didn't know what to say.
He's saying, Chitananda was telling a story that a long time ago some devotees challenged, if you don't accept that you fell from the spiritual world and that you rebelled against Krishna, you're not really taking responsibility. So the answer to that is that the mood of having rebelled against Krishna arises as a sanchari bhav due to humility. It is not a material feeling, and you can't impose it. Like somebody will say sometime, because we know we should be humble, people will always say to each other, oh, Prabhu, no, I'm the most fallen. Actually, not feeling like you're the most fallen for real, right? It's just the parlance of the society, right? In the social dynamic we live in, common language is, oh, no, I'm way more fallen, no, I'm most fallen, until you get into argument, right? Then after you get into argument, well, who do you think you are? Well, I thought you were the most fallen. No, you're fallen, right?
I heard
So,
Prabhupada said, you're not the most.
Anything, yeah. So this feeling of Danya Bhav is explained in one verse. Paripokena Danasha Krishna Prema Ajasan Vitanyate. That when Krishna Prema arises in the heart, a prominent sanchari bhav that arises for a sadhak is called Danya Bhav, means humility. He thinks Krishna is so wonderful. Like we were just talking about Srila Prabhupada. Any Prabhupada disciple's heart, any follower Prabhupada, heart should start to break a little bit. When you consider what he went through to save us, your heart will start to break a little bit. Same with Gurudev. But, what he came to. When Srila Prabhupada came, there was not already made field either. Nobody cut the grass. When Srila Gurudev came, and he always used to say, Srila Swami Maharaj has already cut the jungle. Even though he still had more jungle to cut. He said later on, he still had more to cut. But Srila Prabhupada came at a time when he had to live, to cut the jungles, cut the grass, of introducing the concept. We are so, I don't want to say we because I don't want to include others, but I think I may be so ungrateful. Why I will not be deeply immersed seriously in bhajan life. Absorbed, giving up everything. Why not? Because we're really not humble. We're not. We're imposing that idea because it's socially, politically correct. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have any sense of humility. Because what is inspired from the Acharyas tells us we should try to socially and etiquette express humility. But the genuine feeling has not arisen in the heart yet. Because it comes as a result of realization of Krishna Prema. You understand this point? You understand? Concomitant, exactly. It's like like when you turn the light on, simultaneously see so many things. I see my hands, I see my legs. So that feeling arises in the heart of great humility. And regret. Right? You see so many bhajans, akshay, right? Oh, why did I waste my whole life? I never worshipped, right? I spent my life not understanding that life is so delicate, it's like tottering on a leaf, all these things, right? That's from realization, right? And that cannot, and remember, what is actually spiritual is nitya, so it doesn't come and go. So if the feeling is genuine, it won't disappear when you go to the concert next week. Understand? How life is like a drop of water tottering on a leaf. And next week,
Well, it's fake it till you make it. Is that the boat?
well, no, I mean, you want to, look, you gotta stay in the game. So you want to try to, kind of try to absorb yourself in that, but realizing it's not really humility, because if you do that, it becomes tinged with sahaja. Actually, I'm very humble, very deeply involved in bhajan. No, be real. I'm at my point. I'm trying. We're all trying and mutually lifting each other up, etc., etc. Then seeing Gurudev is humble. How Gurudev is humble. He comes, he talks to you. He's actually Manjari, Sevak of Rup Manjari, Vinod Manjari, Shrimati Radhika, but he's talking to me. Right? He's talking to me. And even maybe he's talking, right? Gurudev is giving the lecture. Everything. Oh, something happened on CNN? What? Let's be real. Just be down to earth real. All right, last thing, because it's late. I'm sorry.
Children will understand that the rules and regulation in Vaidhi Bhakti are actually designed to put us into this state, to understand our limitations, and to make us humble.
Very good. Very good. I'll repeat. Madam Muhammad was saying that's what Vaidhi Bhakti is for, and Saranagati, because they implement humility by practice in the conditioned jiva who doesn't have it as an actual realization. So the 6 symptoms of love expressed between devotees, the things that are favorable, what's not favorable, following that puts in practice humility in the heart of conditioned souls who are not realized in humility. That's why I follow it. All right, I'm so sorry. Dandavats devotees on the phone. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.